Watch the video to the end. This story is shocking. From mad love to a shocking finale. No, it's not a Romeo and Juliet story. Have you ever noticed how many worthy, talented, and magnanimous individuals pass away young? Some people barely cross into their 20 or 30, leaving this life suddenly. It often seems like there were no signs of impending trouble. They lived, worked, and planned for the future, just like everyone else. However, misfortune, illness, or criminal acts disrupt the usual order, and so those who once showed great promise and were intelligent and determined are now gone. In an attempt to find solace or due to helplessness in the face of the situation, it's often said that the heavens take the best. This same tragedy struck Jimmy and Peter James. None of them could have imagined the horrific ordeal that was to come to bury their beloved daughter. Unexpected news. On October 26, 2023, around 4:30 a.m., the principal of St. Andrew's Cathedral School, located in central Sydney, sent out an email to all students' parents. It stated that the school would be closed until the end of the week due to a critical incident. 2 hours later, worried families received another notification. The administration assured that none of the students were involved. However, the news was unsettling, especially since it was later clarified that this directive did not apply to graduating students taking exams. For those distressed by the situation, psychological support was made available. Soon, a round-the-clock consultation center was set up in the school library. On Thursday and Friday, the school building and surrounding area were thoroughly searched by forensic teams. Access to the gym was restricted, and the adjacent shower area was slated for demolition. So, what terrible event had occurred within the school walls? A corpse in the shower. Around midnight on October 25, 2023, the body of a 20-year-old woman was found. She had last been seen alive at 7 p.m. The water polo coach had entered the gym's shower and never came out. Surveillance cameras recorded someone following her around. 8 p.m., the pursuer left alone and headed towards the school exit. The woman's parents were the first to raise an alarm about her disappearance. Lilie had been uncontactable all day, and at 10 p.m., she sent a message asking to be picked up from work. Fortunately, the police, already informed about the situation, took care of it instead. The night guard, making his rounds, witnessed a horrific scene. A woman lay in a pool of blood on the floor with a shattered head. After recovering from the initial shock, he called emergency services. Later, detectives invited a family friend for body identification. The woman's face was so disfigured that it was hard to recognize the once beloved Miss James. After the news of her death reached the public, her home was filled with people. Friends, neighbors, and acquaintances came to support her grieving family. Local residents also expressed their sorrow and respect for the prematurely departed, continuously bringing flowers and toys, turning the area around the house into a memorial. Yet, this mysterious death was not the only intrigue in this case. Another tragic loss on October 27 at 8 a.m., just 11 miles from the scene of the first crime, the remains of a man were discovered. This grim find was made by vendors working nearby. The body was located on the rocks of Diamond Bay Reserve, close to Vlue, an eastern suburb of Sydney. After a call to the police, a rescue team was promptly assembled. The operation included a bomb squad, Marine Corps, and a rescue helicopter. At 3:30 p.m., the man's body was retrieved and taken to forensic experts for identification. Due to the injuries sustained from a high fall, visual inspection was not possible, so fingerprints were used for this purpose. At that time, experts suspected the identity of the man. However, confirmation was needed for certainty. Eventually, the man was identified as 24-year-old Paul Teth, who was suspected in the crime against Lilie James. Investigators had a challenging task ahead to draw parallels between the two fatal incidents and to uncover what had happened between these individuals. A few days earlier, a diamond among the stones, Lilie was born in the last spring month of 2002 in the coastal town of Sans Souci, New South Wales, Australia. She was the first and cherished child of the close-knit James family. She was especially adored by Barbara, her maternal grandmother. Lilie spent her childhood with her younger brother, Max, by the ocean. She was very active and enduring, with a passion for swimming. Her father, who coached the water polo team at an Anglican girls' school in Hurstville, supported his daughter's interest. Friends recalled that she was sociable and friendly, excelled in her studies, and helped those who were struggling. These qualities endeared her to many, ensuring she was never alone. In her upper school years, thanks to her achievements in academic sports and community life, she was recognized as one of the best students. Whatever she took on, she succeeded in. Her incredible talent to excel in all areas of activity was undeniable. She also had an interest in the dramatic arts, which led her to participate in the theater and dance club. Over time, the talented young woman was noticed and invited to participate in the famous Woodford Folk Festival, one of Australia's largest annual events, attended by around 125,000 people, including local, national, and international guests. The event usually takes place from December 27 to January 1, marking the New Year's celebration with a broad selection of genres and styles like circus, cabaret, comedy, street performances, workshops, debates, and more. Lilie chose to perform a unique rendition of a monologue from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. During the performance, her skills, natural charisma, and allure were fully displayed, receiving unprecedented applause and approval from the jury. She secured second place in the theater category. This was a true success and a great boost, as our heroine not only gained recognition, but also a significant monetary prize. In 2018, the young Miss James added another achievement to her collection. She passed her beginner's driving test. Her athletic successes deserve special mention too. Following in her father's footsteps, she began to pursue water polo professionally. The athlete earned the title of swimming champion in the under-17 category. Understandably, her parents were thrilled with their daughter's successes and celebrated each accomplishment grandly. By her senior year, Lilie had definitively decided on her future life, focusing on a sports career. Thus, in 2020, she enrolled at Sydney Technological University to pursue a bachelor's degree in sports business management. A fateful encounter at the beginning of 2021, a new chapter began in our heroine's life. To spice up her college routine and gain teaching experience, she took a job as a water polo coach at St. Anne's Cathedral School. Thanks to her youth, vibrant personality, and love for sports, she quickly connected not only with her colleagues and administration, but also with the group she was entrusted with. The students were drawn to her, striving to match her standards. In turn, she tried to find a unique approach to each student and highlight something special. It was during this time that Lilie met the new cricket and hockey coach, Paul Teth. With his professional skills and striking appearance, he quickly caught the attention of those around him. The ambitious young man, in addition to his main job, also taught part-time at another educational institution and was a member of the University of New South Wales hockey team. Paul was undoubtedly popular, especially among female audiences. However, opinions about him were mixed. Some described him as proud and headstrong, while others noted his positive traits. Initially, the interaction between Lilie and Paul was friendly and limited to mutual greetings. However, it later developed into something more. Lilie's friends shared that one day the young man asked her out on a date. Given Paul's dazzling smile, it was hard for her to resist, and she agreed. The date made a strong impression on both, and they decided to meet again. Unaware of whom she was becoming involved with, Lilie, due to her own kindness and openness, fell in love. It seemed that Paul reciprocated her feelings. He showered her with compliments, gave her flowers, and organized evenings together. At that moment, the young couple agreed that no one at the school, especially the students, should know about their warm relationship. This was a requirement of the school's policy and Lilie's personal beliefs. She never wanted her personal life to be public. Therefore, at work, the couple was cautious. However, over time, rumors began to spread. Initially, timid whispers turned into a full-blown public discussion. When Lilie found out who had disclosed their relationship, she was deeply disappointed. It turned out that Paul had broken their agreement. Moreover, the way he portrayed his companion led to condemnation towards the young employee. She felt betrayed and humiliated. So, she confronted her boyfriend about everything she thought of him and ended the relationship. Later, it was learned that Paul tried to reconcile and repeatedly asked for forgiveness, but Lilie was resolute. The only consolation for her was that their relationship was short-lived. During that time, she had seen his true character. Fortune's favorite, Paul, was born in 1999 in the Netherlands. The Thesens moved to Australia in 2015 when the family head was transferred to a new position. It must be said that his parents were affluent and well-known within certain circles. As an only child, Paul received ample attention and care from his family, which certainly shaped his character. He grew up spoiled and self-centered. The younger he knew his worth, excelled academically, and was active in sports. His impressive physical fitness was immediately noticeable. After relocating, Paul enrolled at St. Andrew's Cathedral School, where he joined the cricket team. He achieved great success, earning recognition and respect from his peers. Over time, he was appointed team captain. He also actively participated in extracurricular activities and festivals, helping with their organization. That's when opinions about him began to diverge. Some boys disliked their overly confident peer who claimed he could win over any girl's heart. However, the ladies found the young man charming and personable. After graduating in 2017, the school administration offered him the opportunity to stay on as an assistant coach for cricket and hockey. He gladly accepted the offer. By early 2018, he had taken over managing these sections. It must be said that he felt confident in his workplace and successfully assumed a leadership position. Eventually, Paul resigned and returned home with his family. The reason for his sudden departure remains unknown. Back home, he decided to continue his education and earned a master's degree in sports management. In a conversation with old friends, he mentioned that he had improved his coaching skills, which soon led to a lucrative offer from his former employer. In early 2020, the doors of the familiar school reopened for him. Upon returning to Australia, Paul met a former friend who suggested they share housing expenses. The young man agreed, finding shared living more enjoyable, even though he could afford to rent alone economically. The rented apartment was located in Kensington, an eastern suburb of Sydney. Initially, the friends got along well, relaxing together at bars after work. However, a few months later, a conflict arose. The fiery Paul decided to live alone. The Teths confessed that, despite being busy and constantly surrounded by people, their son felt lonely. They knew nothing of any romantic relationships, though they suspected he had not experienced serious love interests. In March 2020, an unexpected event occurred both nationally and globally due to a coronavirus outbreak. Australia declared an emergency and imposed strict quarantine measures. For 18 months, Paul was left to his own devices, unable to leave the country to see his family due to infection risks. The massive restrictions affected all areas of life, leaving Paul to fend for himself. By the summer of 2021, life had returned to normal. However, it turned out that isolation had impacted interpersonal relationships. When Paul resumed his previous duties, some began to notice changes in his character and behavior. He soon returned to the sports world and became a key player on the hockey team, continuing to lead an active lifestyle, even appearing in match advertisements. At the same time, acquaintances noted characteristics not previously seen in him, such as uncontrollable outbursts of anger. Additionally, rumors spread at the school that he had a particular interest in his female students. The young coach repeatedly flirted with teenage girls, often watching them for extended periods, causing them to blush and feel awkward. Nevertheless, he continued to be regarded as a significant figure. His performance had a substantial impact on the team's progression to the finals of the Australian Hockey League. Imagine the blow to his ego when Lilie ended their relationship following Paul's trail. When investigators began probing the case, there was no doubt about Paul's involvement after the discovery of a woman's body. They quickly got on the trail of the culprit. Surveillance cameras, both inside and outside, played a significant role in this. The young man carelessly appeared on them, Several inquiries were also made to Lilie and Paul's cell service provider. The police needed to determine his last known location, so they decided to track the suspect via GPS. They also wanted to find the victim's phone, hoping that the messages it contained could shed light on what had happened. After some time, the locations of the devices were established. Furthermore, by reconstructing the sequence of events, it was discovered that Paul had bought a hammer at a hardware store a couple of days before the attack. Apparently, he was very angry with the girl and decided to confront her in this way. Although her innocence in the situation seemed clear, the sequence of events unfolded as follows. Tragic conclusion. On the morning of October 25, Lilie went to university and then to her job. In the afternoon at the same time, her ex-boyfriend rented a silver Lexus and drove to the school. Since he had no classes, he didn't enter the building but waited in the car instead. After all the students had left the building, the perpetrator walked to the gym to avoid carrying the hammer openly. He hid it under his jacket. Once at the scene, Paul watched Lilie's movement. After finishing her training, she decided to freshen up and headed to the shower. Seizing the moment when she was most vulnerable, the perpetrator followed her. An argument ensued, during which T.I. attacked her and struck her head. Pathologists confirmed that her death was instantaneous. She did not suffer. After waiting an hour, the young man collected the girl's personal belongings in a backpack and left the building. Outside, he got into the car and drove to Diamond Bay, where he disposed of the weapon in a garbage container. Surveillance cameras recorded him at the reserve at 8:47 p.m. The last known location of Paul, tracked by investigators, was The Gap, a cliff at South Head in Vaucluse, an eastern suburb of Sydney. This spot is known for several reasons. It's not only popular with tourists, but also notorious for numerous suicides. Around 10 p.m., using Lilie's phone, Paul sent a message to Mestel James, likely to lead to the discovery of the girl's body. Perhaps he regretted what had happened and hoped she could be helped. Or he was simply informing her parents about their daughter's location. They were clearly worried, as indicated by dozens of calls made to the phone. An hour later, the young man made a brief emergency call, but changed his mind and hung up. After that, he made a decision he had been contemplating for a long time. He stepped into the abyss and ended his life. Final clues. Upon arriving at the cliff, police did not find the young man, but they did discover the personal belongings of the former lovers. A rented car was found parked nearby. Everything indicated that the young man was no longer alive. He might have been unable to cope with his guilt or unwilling to face the consequences of his actions. In any case, the first priority was to locate his body. On October 26 at 9 a.m., police helicopters and boats arrived at Vaucluse. The entire coastline was patrolled, and the area around the cliff at Diamond Bay was cordoned off. However, the first day of searching yielded no results. By chance, the young man's body was washed onto the rocks of the reserve the following day. After an autopsy and examination, Paul was officially found responsible for Lilie James's death. However, it was impossible to hold him accountable, and the criminal case was closed. His body was later given to his parents, who decided not to repatriate him to the Netherlands, but to cremate him and scatter his ashes in Sydney. Farewell. Lilie's funeral took place on November 17, 2023, at her former school in Hurstville. About 500 people came to say goodbye to a beloved relative, friend, and coach. At that moment, grief united everyone. The school administration arranged a live broadcast of the ceremony. Notably, the girl's family asked attendees not to wear dark clothes, but instead to dress in bright colors as they believed Lilie would have wanted. She was lively, energetic, creative, and unique, so a somber outfit would hardly have suited her. Many warm and sincere words were spoken about her. In response, the James family thanked everyone who had been with them during those difficult days for their support and help. At the entrance to the building, students and colleagues created a makeshift memorial in honor of their favorite flowers, and farewell letters were placed next to it as a tribute and respect. The school's website published a video of Lilie performing a monologue from Macbeth. After all the circumstances of the innocent girl's death were established, the school management sent another email to the student's parents. It apologized to everyone affected by the tragedy. The principal assured that the crime was completely unexpected and would not happen again. Understandably, many were concerned that a place where children should feel safe had become the epicenter of a brutal act. The administration urged everyone to see this as an isolated incident and to continue their education with renewed vigor. Later, a meeting was arranged with renowned forensic psychologist Tim Watson Monroe, who has years of experience in analyzing the minds of both criminals and victims. He was asked to speak about what happened and to analyze Paul Theth's behavior. The expert assured that Paul's actions were typical of individuals with inflated self-esteem who cannot accept rejection. He believed Paul committed the act not in a burst of emotion, but deliberately and coldly. He did what he wanted and showed no remorse. When asked why the young man ended his life, Mr. Watson Monroe stated that the perpetrator wanted to avoid responsibility and shame. Overall, he described Paul as a narcissistic individual with psychopathic tendencies. He also noted that some likened the event to the finale of Shakespeare's famous tragedy, Romeo and Juliet. However, the story of Lilie and Paul is distinct from that of the main characters in the play, and creates a completely new narrative. Love has no room for pride and lies, much less deceit and betrayal. Sadly, Paul failed to understand this and to appreciate the person who was by his side. By prioritizing his bruised ego, he permanently erased the life of a girl who brought light. At the same time, he caused enduring suffering not only for Lilie's parents, but also for his own loved ones. Unfortunately, for the nurturing care and attention he received, he repaid them with bitter regret. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many shocking stories ahead of you.